Okay, welcome back, and in today's video we're going to be connecting the home page or the home screen with the detail page. So whenever you click on an item or a dish in the home page, we're going to display the full information in the detail page. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to create an extension of our UI view controller class. Alright, so just so that we can easily create an instance. I'm going to show you what I mean. So in our extensions folder, what I'm going to do is create a new extension of the UI view controller. My O is a bit stiff. Alright, and this is an extension. Perfect. Now right here we're going to say extension UI view controller, and as you've guessed, we're going to need to import UI kit. Perfect. Now, the first thing we're going to have here is just the same way we have an identifier for all our collection view cells. What we can do here is say static var and identifier, which is going to return a string. Now, right here, we're going to say return string describing self. Okay, so this is going to return the name of the view controller class. And the next thing we're going to do is to create a static function called Instantiate. Did I get the spelling? Instantiate. Okay, cool. And this function is going to return self. So it's going to return the same type that was used to call the instantiate function. Don't worry, it's going to make sense in a bit. So what we're simply doing here is we're going to first of all get storyboard, and it's pretty much the same way we try to navigate to another view controller. So first of all, we have to create an instance of that view controller from the storyboard, right? So first we need to get access to our main storyboard, and to do that you just say let storyboard be equal to UI storyboard. Storyboard. What's wrong with my typing? And this is going to take in a couple of parameters, the name and the bundle. So the name of the storyboard we're trying to get is the main storyboard, as you can see right over here, main, and the bundle you can simply just pass in no. So now that we have access to the storyboard, we can simply get whatever view controller we want. So just say let's controller, why am I messing up? Alright, so let's controller be equal to storyboard dot instantiate view controller with identifier, and as you guessed, we already have access to the identifier. Alright, and this we're going to cast as self, which is itself. Then finally, we don't need to do anything, we just say return controller. And as you probably guessed, you can actually just add your return right here, since we didn't actually need it to be a variable. So let's go ahead and just do that. Alright, so I think everything is good. Oh, no, I don't think, sorry, I can't do this. I'm already assigning, I didn't remember. So, oh yes, remove this bad boy. Alright, okay. So now we have this extension, and you can actually use this in many other projects you have. Rather than having to do storyboard and then instantiate view with identifier and stuff, all you need to do is just, let me show you. So we're going to go over to our home. So whenever you click on a particular dish, we want to open up the detail page, right? So first, as you probably guessed, we're going to need to implement the did tap. So right here, we actually want to implement the did select item at index path right here. So actually we have two types. So for the first collection view, we don't want to open the detail page because you're clicking on a category, right? So for that particular instance, we want to go to a list of products that are, or list of dishes that are in that particular category, right? But for the other two, the popular and the specials, we want to go to the detail page. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an if statement. So we're going to say if collection view is equal to category collection view, then we want to do something else. We want to now go to the detail page. So how do we get there? We're just going to say let controller be equal to, and what class or what page are we trying to get to? We're trying to get to the dish detail, and if we just do dot, now we have access to instantiate. So when I click on this, you can see if you hold down Alt and click on controller, you're going to see that it has returned an instance of the dish detail view controller. Isn't that awesome? So you don't have to do all of those storyboard instantiate and stuff. All right. So now we have access to the controller, and what we want to do is simply say navigation controller dot present, and then we're going to be passing the controller animated. Of course, we want that to be true, and for completion, we don't want to do anything. Now let's actually test this and see if it works well. 10. Shoot. Okay, so launching. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Perfect. So now we click on Gary, and this guy was presented. I think I made a mistake. Did I use present or push? All right, so I used present, and actually what I wanted to use was push. So push brings it from right to left, present brings it upward. So I want it to bring from the right to the left. So here, controller, and animated, of course, is going to be true. Let's run it again, and hopefully this works well. Okay, so we click on Indomie, and it brings us over here. I go ahead and click on this guy, it brings us over here. So this is a step in the right direction. The next thing we want to do is to replace this with the image that was, well, replace that page with information that was sent from here. So how do we do that? At this point, we can actually get access to the particular dish that was clicked. How do we do that? We simply say controller dot, and we want to store this in a variable called dish. Even though we don't have this yet, we're going to call it dish. Now, so this is going to be equal to either the popular or the specials. How do we do that? So we're going to need to do a very quick check over here and see if the collection view is equal to, you can say whichever one you want. You can check if it is popular. So if it is popular, then we want to check populars and index path dot row. Otherwise, we want to check specials and index path dot row. An alternative to this is to simply have another, or just basically use a switch as we've been doing over here, which I guess I'd probably advise, but I guess I just wanted to have all of these in the same place because we are trying to, you know, instantiate this guy. But well, it's totally up to you. If you want to break them down into individual checks and not have to do the check right in here, it is fine. If you don't want to, you can also do this. So as you probably guessed, we don't have access to dish. So what we're going to need to do is head over to the controller, this guy, and create the dish. So right down here, I'm going to create a variable called dish, and is of course going to be of type dish. And before this page loads, we must have access to a dish, right? So something has to be passed in here. So yeah, it's safe for us to have this guy force. Okay, so now we have access to the dish, and let's actually build and see if there's still the error, and of course not. So now we have access to the dish. What we want to do is populate the fields. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function here. You can actually make that private. So private function, and I'm going to call this populate view, or populate whatever you want. So the first thing we're going to populate is the dish image view. And this is going to be .kf.setImage, and of course this is going to be dish.image as URL. Perfect. Next we're going to set the title label, and .text is going to be equal to the dish.name, I believe. Then we're going to have the description label.text is going to be equal to dish.description. Then we're going to have calories.text. It's going to be equal to dish.formatted calories. Then we're going to have the name field. Of course, we don't have that here. Sweet. So now let's actually go ahead and test this. And hopefully when you click on, so don't forget to call it. All right. So hopefully when you click on a particular dish, it's going to pretty much open up the page and show the details. Okay, so I'm gonna click on Gary and sweet. So this is the best I ever tasted. Let's go back and let's click on this one. All right, I would have loved to have like one with multi lines. Okay, so I'm gonna update one of the dishes, and I'm sure you also noticed something. In our main.storyboard, our image view wanted to actually grow, so we don't want it to be like aspect fit. We want this guy to be an aspect fill. So aspect fill. All right, so let's actually go to the home view controller, and we want to make one of the descriptions very long or long enough to test multi-lines. So I'm just going to copy this and repeat myself because they just didn't get enough of that. All right, so let's run this again, and hopefully this should work well. Okay, so I click on this guy. We have a single line. That's okay. The image is full, and right. So this is good. You can see that this one has multi lines. Go like this. Okay. It looks pretty good. Okay, perfect. So this brings us to the end of this video. In the next video, what we're gonna do is whenever you click on a particular category, we want to open a list of items or a list of dishes in that particular category. All right. So see you guys then.